Zortch, or better, Zortch Against the Brain Sucker, is a fun and funny named FPS that has been sitting on my Steam wishlist for about 8 months now, and even though it only costs $5, I've always asked myself if it would be worth the price or not, since sometimes €5 games are usually pretty freaking bad, but the same applies to €70 games, so you know. Anyways, I was waiting for the Steam Summer Sales to buy, but to my demise it was not discounted, so I forced myself to buy it at full price. Now, was it worth it? Let's take a look at how much content Zortch packs. The game comprises a total of 20 levels divided in 5 episodes, and in typical Doom fashion they are called with nerdy names such as E1 M3, E5 M4, which I always like this type of names, and yeah, big up to it. So throughout Zortch adventure, with a young girl who fell for an holiday scam and flee you straight inside the enemy den, and the enemies are the brain suckers. Throughout this journey you will fight through various kind of maps set in different locations. The most common levels are usually located in space facilities or industrial areas with toxic wastes lying around, but there are also more interesting levels, such as a metro station with a functioning train in the middle of it, a basketball court in the middle of an alien natural landscape with even a fast food where Zortch can eat burgers to replenish his health, and a canyon-like area with a minefield made of crabs, and these crabs love to play football for some reason. These latter 2 levels might be the best in the game, especially because of their location. In fact, most levels in Zortch take place inside or outside, but during the night and under dark polluted skies, and this type of setting doesn't let the colors of this game, which are very peculiar, shine through. In fact, the graphic of this game is pretty interesting. It kind of looks like PS2 graphics on Nintendo 64, and you know, this is a welcome change of visual style, since most recent boomer shooters love to inspire themselves to 2D sprite graphics like in Doom or build engine games. And similarly to Doom, all these levels are structured around the keycards. And if you're not a fan of the maziness of the levels in classic Doom or Duke Nukem 3D, do not despair, because Zortch maps are a lot more open and easy to navigate through. Sure, you will get lost sometimes, but thanks to the high movement speed combined with the sprint button, and we're not in Call of Duty, finding your way through the levels will be a matter of seconds. The movement in Zortch, although fast, also got a floaty feel to it, without being too slippery though, which is a nice thing. You can also jump kick to get a little height and speed boost, and you can slide for a speed boost as well, although I never used these mechanics cause I'm bad. I would really love to see a map pack that is more platformish in its nature, because the movement in this game is just very cool to experience. Of course, so let's talk about the highlight of every retro FPS, which is the combat. So the combat, it's all about shooting bizarre monsters until they die, and Zortch Arsenal will make this task quite a joy to undertake. So you start the game with a wrench, just like in Opposing Force, but you will quickly realize that it has got a secondary fire, like any other gun. In fact, the wrench can be thrown like Ratchet & Clank do, and the other weapons consist in a shotgun that can be fired by one barrel or both, an assault rifle that turns into the fastest sniper shooting rifle ever. The flamethrower instead shoots flames or throws a big napalm bomb, which is very destructive and epic. And we also got a lightning gun, which is similar to Quake, but the secondary fire it's like the shock rifle from a real tournament. But the very highlight of your arsenal are the dynamite sticks, and if you have played and loved Blood, you already know what we're talking about. Although in Zortch they feel, I think, even better than in Blood, because I really like the floatiness of this game engine, and you can really throw them however you want, and if you're skilled enough you're gonna make a lot of enemy explode. Then we have a grenade launcher, and its secondary fire is the rocket launcher. This is one weapon that you will use a lot during the game. And there are also trip mines, and you know, just like in Half-Life, you're never gonna use them, cause trip mines, I don't know what places they have in a retro shooter, but it's okay. Now it's time to take a look at the enemies, the so-called brain suckers. A name similar to your imaginary goth girlfriend. So let's jump on to what's the bestiary like in Zortch. You will face all kinds of enemies, from Doom-esque chain gun holding grunts, to metallic faces that fly 2 times faster than lost souls, Quake-esque shotgun grunts, and other weird enemies such as a man who has stuck his head in a wasp nest, wasps themselves, bats, sharks, robotic chickens, big seashells armed with grenade launcher, floating mechanically enhanced monsters similarly to Demon Hunter in Doom Eternal, and these are the strongest enemies in the game, big balls made of steels and electricity, weird black bobs metaphorical of a smoker lung, and floating creepy eyes like in Mario 64. And the list goes on, but I will have to stop here or this video is gonna be too long. The real shame of these enemies is that their models kinda lack detail, but you know, this game has been made by only one person, Mutant Leg, so you know, we have to be content with the fact that this game has got more enemy variety than Half-Life 2. Another cool mechanic is the fact that in Zortch headshots do matter. Not every enemy is gonna have an head, but sniping those pinkish grunts by piercing their head is a pleasure. I really like headshot mechanics in retro-styled FPS, and so this was a nice surprise. Let's hover on the final point of the video, the sound design and the music. So, the explosions from the rockets and dynamites sound chunky enough. The rifle fire is quite beefy too, and the same applies to the shotgun. I mean, the weapons sound pretty decent, not amazing but decent. Keep in mind that only one person developed this game, so the soundtrack cannot be too amazing. Now let's talk about the soundtrack, which is not as epic as Quake 1 soundtrack made by 9 Inch Nails or like Doom 2016 soundtrack. However, although simple, the soundtrack really fits the vibe of the game. In fact, it is mostly comprised by ambient sounds and weird alien sounds that repeat themselves in a tune. It's not properly a soundtrack because it's more ambience, but it does its job. The only real soundtrack is the one that plays during boss battles, and every boss battle has got a remixed version of it. And you know, it's pretty epic and you can bang your head to it. Just take a listen. Yeah, truly dope stuff. So, to end the celebration of this low-budget retro FPS game, for $5 this game also includes a whole freaking level editor that mappers interested in creating a sequel can make use of so that they can sell the game for $5 a pop and become millionaires like Mutant Leg himself. So, in conclusion, is Zortch worth the $5? Most definitely yes. This game is a true little FPS gem, and had it been slightly more polished in its art direction, I bet it could have been sold even at a €15 price point. As wacky as this game looks, it struggles to create a strong sense of cohesion or personality, but I mean, a single developer can only do so much. So guys, by Zortch, I have had 10 hours of great fun with it, so I mean it lasts longer than AAA FPS games, and yeah, enjoy.